Today we're going to look at some strategies for figuring out word problems. And the strategy we're going to look at today is drawing a diagram. Sometimes when you're given a word problem, it's very helpful to draw a diagram so you can see what you're dealing with. So the first question on page 350 says, Christine plans to frame her grade 4 saxophone certificate with a 5 centimeter wide mat. The certificate measures 30 centimeters by 25 centimeters. What is the area of the glass that covers Christine's certificate and the mat? So that sounds like a lot of information. So what we're going to do first is just draw her certificate. So I've drawn her certificate here, and I've put the measurements on it. It said that it was 30 centimeters by 25 centimeters. So this inside rectangle is her certificate. Then it said she wants to put a 5 centimeter wide mat around it. You may have noticed when you frame something, there's often a mat around it before you get to the frame, and that's what she wanted to do. So this mat is 5 centimeters wide, so it's 5 centimeters here, and it's 5 centimeters here. The question wants to know, what's the area of the whole thing? Because the glass is going to not just cover their certificate, it's also going to cover the mat. So the area of the whole thing, well, we can't figure it out until we know the dimensions of this outside rectangle. So we have to think about that. If the inside rectangle is 30 centimeters right here, and we know the mat is 5 centimeters here, I want you to think about what is the dimension of this line out here. Think about that for a second. If you said 35, then you forgot about something. You forgot about this space right here. This is also 5 centimeters. So if we have 5 centimeters here, 30 centimeters here, and 5 centimeters here, what's the dimension of this length line here? It would be 40 centimeters. Okay, so let's figure out the new width. If it's 25 centimeters on the inside line here, and we know that the mat is 5 centimeters here, and another 5 here, what is the new width going to be? Think about that. It's going to be 35 centimeters. I almost said 30 because I was not thinking you have to add 5 here and 5 here. So 35 centimeters. Now, they want to know the area of the whole thing. So we're going to do 35 times 40. And what will you get for that? You will get 1,400. And we have to put our units. So 1,400. And what are the units? Centimeters squared. Don't forget, when you're doing area, the units always have to be squared. Okay, so the area of the glass will be 1,400 centimeters squared. Let's look at another word problem. This one is talking about a sports store. It says, Best Ride Sports sells snowboard equipment and clothing. The store measures 15 meters by 13 meters. Now I put some of these dimensions here so I wouldn't have to type them out. So 15 by 13 meters is the store itself. Then it says there's a checkout desk that measures 3 meters by 1 meter. So when you're doing draw, I'm going to have to choose it from here, but you're just going to draw. So draw a little checkout desk, 3 meters by 1 meter. I mean, this is not to scale, but let's just pretend that it is 3 meters by 1 meter. And then it says there's a display shelf that's 11 meters by 2 meters. So let's draw this display shelf, 11 meters by 2 meters. Now, when you're drawing, always label everything. So this first checkout desk was 3 meters by 1 meter, and the display shelf was 11 meters by 2 meters. Okay, so we have our drawing, and now we can figure out what they're asking. The floor around the desk and the shelf is tiled. what is the area of the floor that is tiled? Well, the first thing we could do is figure out what's the area of the whole store, and that would be our first step. So we're going to do 13 times 15, and yes, you can use a calculator for these if you would like to. And if you do 13 times 15, you're going to get 195, okay? So 195, and because it's area, it's going to be meters squared. But if we just said the answer was 195, that would suggest that we're putting the tiles on this shelf and we're putting the tiles on this desk, which we don't want to do. So we have to subtract the area of the shelf and subtract the area of the desk to find out how much of the floor is actually tiled. So the area of the shelf is 2 times 11, which would be what? 2 times 11 is 22. So if we took that off, we're going to get 173 meters squared. But we're not done because we also have to take off the desk. So I'll just put the 173 over here. We're also going to take off the area of this desk. So 3 times 1 is 3. So we're going to subtract that as well. And what are we going to end up with? 170. Now what are our units? Meters squared. Okay, so the area of the floor that needs to be tiled is 170 meters squared. The next word problem is talking about a swimming pool. I wish that it was weather that we could go swimming, but it's not yet. This swimming pool, they are going to put a deck around it, and so let's draw it. So the pool, I drew the pool. It says the dimensions are 8 meters by 4 meters. So let's just put our dimensions on here. So 8 meters this way and 4 meters that way. So this is our swimming pool. I'm going to put the dimensions inside because we're drawing the deck on the outside. Now, the deck is going to surround the pool, and it's going to have a width of 2 meters. So the deck is going to come around, this is not to scale, but let's just say that that's 2 meters. So here's our deck around it, and that is 2 meters, okay? 2 meters wide from the pool. This is very similar to the one we just did with the framing, the certificate. So we know that this right here is going to be 2. We know that this right here is going to be 2 because it's 2 meters out from the pool. Now the question says, what is the area of the deck? Just this part around the outside. Well, there's multiple steps we have to take here. We have to know what the dimensions are to find the area of the whole thing first. So how can we figure that out? Well, we know that this line here is 8 meters long. And we know that the deck is 2 meters here, so that additional 2 here, plus 8, plus an additional 2 here. So what does that give us for our outside line? It would be 12 meters. Now, what's the width? Well, the inside line is 4, and we know this is going to be another 2. Now, obviously, this is not to scale, but that's okay. 4 plus 2 plus another 2 here is going to give us what? 8 meters. Now, if we figure out the outside, it can give us something to start with. So 8 times 12 is 96, okay? But the deck obviously is not on top of the swimming pool. So now what we need to do is subtract the area of the swimming pool from the area of the outer rectangle. So 8 times 4 is 32. So we're going to subtract that area. 6 take away 2 is 4, and 9 take away 3 is 6. So 64 meters squared would be the area of the deck. And as I said, I did not draw this to scale, but you get the idea. You're going to find the outer area, you're going to find the inner area, and you will subtract to find your answer. Now, our last question is the trickiest one of all. And I'm going to give you some tips, but I'm not going to give you the answer. And I want to see who can figure it out. And tomorrow we'll talk about it in our morning meeting. So the question says a scalene triangle. So first off, we have to know that a scalene triangle means that all the sides are different lengths. So a scalene triangle has related side lengths. So again, this is a perfect chance where drawing it will help you to figure it out. So I drew a triangle with different side lengths. And again, this is not to scale, it's just my attempt to draw. And same for you. When you're drawing it on paper, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just so you can visualize it. So it says side AB is 7 centimeters shorter than BC. So I wrote it like this. So BC, take away 7 centimeters, and you would have the length of AB because it's shorter. AB is shorter. Okay, next one. Side AC is 4 centimeters longer than BC. So AC is longest side. BC plus 4 centimeters will give you AC. So knowing that information, which side is which? I want you to think about it for a second. BC is the one kind of in the middle. There's one that's longer and there's one that's shorter. So we're going to put BC right here because this one is shorter and this one is longer. So which one is side AB? Well, it says side AB is 7 centimeters shorter than BC. So I'm going to put that there. And side AC is 4 centimeters longer than BC. So that's our longest one. How are we going to figure this out? The perimeter is 48, and we want to know what each side would be. Perimeter is the side plus the side plus the side, and we know the perimeter is 48. So one thing we could do, just to get a ballpark number, because this is going to be a case where we have to guess and check, but we could take the 48 and divide it by 3 evenly, and if this were an equilateral triangle, we could say 16 plus 16 plus 16 is 48. However, this is not an equilateral triangle, and all the sides are different. So what you need to do, and I'm not going to finish it for you, but you need to figure out what numbers would work with the formula that they gave us. And it's not going to be 16, but I'm putting that there just to give you something to work with. So let's say this middle one, BC, let's say it was 16, just to experiment. Side AB is 7 centimeters shorter than BC. So what's 7 centimeters shorter than this? 9, okay? And side AC is 4 centimeters longer than BC. So what's 4 centimeters longer than this? Okay. Now we check it. That was our guess. Now we're going to check it and we're going to add it up and we're going to see if that equals 48. And it does not equal 48. It equals 45. So we're close. But what I want you to do is experiment with these 3 numbers. The answer's under here, but I'm not going to show it to you. I want you to try and figure out what 3 numbers would equal 48, but would also follow this pattern where the BC one is 7 centimeters bigger than this one and 4 centimeters shorter than that one. So I want you to figure it out and let me know tomorrow if you got the answer. That's all for today, so I will see you later.